Es ist dem Feind gelungen, die Front in breiter Formation zu durchbrechen. Im Süden hat der Gegner Zossen genommen und stößt auf Stahnsdorf vor. Der Feind operiert jetzt am nördlichen Stadtrand zwischen Frohnau und Pankow. Und im Osten ist der Feind bis zur Linie Lichtenberg-Marsdorf-Karlshorst gelangt.
Mit dem Angriff Steiners wird das alles in Ordnung kommen.
Mein Führer, Steiner
konnte nicht genügend Kräfte für einen Angriff massieren. Der Angriff Steiner ist nicht erfolgt.
Es bleiben im Raum Keitel, Jodl, Krebs und Burgdorf.
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl! Wer sind Sie, dass Sie es wagen, sich meinen Befehl zu widersetzen? So weit ist es also gekommen. Das Militär hat mich belogen! Jeder hat mich belogen, sogar die SS! Die gesamte Generalität ist nichts weiter als ein Haufen niederträchtiger, treuloser Feiglinge!
Mein Führer, ich kann nicht zulassen, dass die Soldaten, die für Sie verbringen...
Nicht als Feiglinge! Verreiter, Versager!
Mein Führer, was Sie da sagen, ist ungeheuerlich!
Die Generalität ist das Geschmeiß des deutschen Volkes! Sie ist ohne Ehre! Sie nennen sich Generale, weil Sie Jahre auf Militärakademien zugebracht haben, nur um zu lernen, wie man Messer und Gabel hält! Jahrelang hat das Militär meine Aktionen nur behindert! Es hat mir jeden nur ersichtlichen Widerstand in den Weg gelegt! Ich hätte gut daran getan, von Jahren alle höheren Offiziere liquidieren zu lassen, wie Stalin! Ich war nie auf einer Akademie. Und doch habe ich allein auf mich gestellt, ganz Europa erobert. Verräter! Von allem Anfang an bin ich so verraten und betrogen worden. Es wurde ein ungeheurer Verrat geübt am deutschen Volke. Aber alle diese Verräter werden bezahlen. Mit ihrem eigenen Blut werden sie bezahlen. Sie werden das saufen in ihrem eigenen Blut.
Bitte gerne. Jetzt beruhig dich doch.
Meine Befehle sind in den Wind gesprochen. Es ist unmöglich, unter diesen Umständen zu führen. Es ist aus. Der Krieg ist verloren. Aber wenn Sie, meine Herren, glauben, dass ich deswegen Berlin verlasse, irren Sie sich gewaltig. Eher jage ich mir eine Kugel durch den Kopf. Tun Sie, was Sie wollen.
When you think of Three Circles, what do you see? You see Disney, right? Yeah, but look at his films now. Right, Remy?
Let's face it, garbage.
Now, I would make a whole video of this horror, but I really can't take too long, so this will be a two-parter. Please push the subscribe button. Now, Disney. About 100 years ago, we got to see the dreams and creativity of a young and bright artist who grew up in a dark and gloomy place. Today, this is born. How did we get from a creative man's wild imagination to a scumbag of demonic movies made for profit? Well, to answer that, we need to get to the beginning of it all. Walt's beginning.
Oh, my voice actually sounds like this, but I don't want to show it right now because it's way too juicy, so I'm going to use it at 0.92 point on speed instead.
Okay, so I'm reading Walt Disney's story in the Wikipedia, just to let you know. Let us begin. Disney was born on December 5th, 1901, at 1249 Tripp Avenue in Chicago's Hermosa neighborhood. Or is it Hermosa? I do not know how to pronounce that part. He was the fourth son of Elias Disney, born in the province of Canada, to Irish parents and Flora Nacot. Wait, what's Nacot? What's that? An American of German and English descent. Aside from Walt, Elias and Flora's sons were Herbert, Raymond, and Roy, we'll get to him later, and the couple had the fifth child, Ruth, in December 1903. In Marceline, Disney developed his interest in drawing when he was paid to draw the horse of a retired neighborhood doctor. Elias was a subscriber to the Appeal of Reason newspaper, and Disney practiced drawing by copying the front-page cartoons of Ryan Walker. He also began to develop an ability to work with watercolors and crayons. In 1911, the Disneys moved to Kansas City, Missouri. There, Disney attended the Benton Grammar School, where he met fellow student Walter Pfeiffer, who came from a family of theater fans and introduced him to the world of vaudeville and motion pictures. Before long, Disney was spending more time at the Pfeiffer's house than at home. Yeah, so I would say all of Walt's information, but it would make the video too long and boring, so I'll just skip any unnecessary parts about his life and get to his important events. In 1917, Elias bought stock in a Chicago jelly producer, the Ozell Company, and moved back to Chicago with his family. Disney enrolled at McKinley High School and became the cartoonist at the school newspaper, drawing patriotic pictures about World War I. He also took night courses at the Chicago Academy of Fine Arts. In mid-1918, he attempted to join the United States Army to fight the Germans, but he was rejected as too young. After forging the date of birth on his birth certificate, he joined the Red Cross in September 1918 as an ambulance driver. He was shipped to France, but arrived in November after the armistice. How do you pronounce that? He drew cartoons on the side of his ambulance for decoration. It had some of his work published in the Army newspaper Stars and Stripes. Okay, this is gonna be good. He returned to Kansas City in October 1919, where he worked as an apprentice artist at the Pesman Rubin Commercial Art Studio, where he drew commercial illustrations for advertising, theater programs, and catalogs, and befriended fellow artist Ub Iwerks, who may be with him one day. In January 1920, as Pesman Rubin's revenue declined after Christmas, Disney, aged 18, and Iwerks were laid off. They needed a job, so they started their own business, the short-lived Iwerks Disney Commercial Artists. Failing to attract many customers, Disney and Iwerks agreed that Disney should leave temporarily to earn money at the Kansas City Film Ad Company, run by A.V. Cogger. The following month, Iwerks, who was not able to run their business alone, also joined. The company produced commercials using the cutout animation technique. Let me show you what that is. This is cutout animation. Disney became interested in animation, although he preferred drawn cartoons, such as Mud and Jeff and Max's Out of the Inkwell. With the assistance of a borrowed book on animation and a camera, he began experimenting at home. He came to the conclusion that cell animation was more promising than the cutout method. Unable to persuade Cogger to try cell animation at the company, Disney opened a new business with a co-worker from the Film Ad Co., Fred Harmon. Their main client was the local Newman Theater, and the short cartoons they produced were sold at Newman's Laughograms. Disney studied Paul Terry's Aesop's Fables as a model, and the first 6 Laughograms were modernized fairy tales. In May 1921, the success of the Laughograms led to the establishment of Laughogram Studio, for which he hired more animators, including Fred Harmon's brother Hugh, Rudolph Ising, and Iwerks. The Laughograms cartoons did not provide enough income to keep the company solvent, so Disney started production of Alice's Wonderland, based on Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, which combined live action with animation. He cast Virginia Davis in the title role. The result, a 12.5-minute one-reel film, was completed too late to save Laughogram Studio, which went into bankruptcy in 1923. Harsh. Disney moved to Hollywood in July 1923 at 21 years old. Although New York was the center of the cartoon industry, he was attracted to Los Angeles because his brother Roy was recovering from tuberculosis there, and he hoped to become a live-action film director. Disney's efforts to sell Alice's Wonderland plan were in vain until he heard from New York film distributor Margaret J. Winkler. She was losing the rights to both the Out of the Inkwell and Felix the Cat cartoons and needed a new series. In October, they signed a contract for 6 Alice comedies, with an option for 2 further series of 6 episodes each. Disney and his brother Roy formed the Disney Brothers Studio, which later became the Walt Disney Company, to produce the films. Disney Brothers. Sounds familiar. Whereupon they persuaded Davis and her family to relocate to Hollywood to continue production, with Davis on contract at $100 a month. After Mintz requested new material to distribute through Universal Pictures, Disney and Iwerks created Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, a character Disney wanted to be peppy, alert, saucy, and venturesome, keeping him also neat and trim. Alright, this is the part where I say the rest of these in my own words. So, Disney, not knowing that Universal owned the rights to it, made a couple of cartoons about Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. But then, Mintz from Universal discovered that Disney was using Oswald without his permission, and asked that he would put Oswald down. Disney said no, though, and the punishment was everything that Disney ever earned for was gone, except Iwerks, who chose to remain with him. Now, this is the part where I go back to reading the Wikipedia. To replace Oswald, Disney and Iwerks developed Mickey Mouse, possibly inspired by a pet mouse that Disney had adopted while working in his Laugh-O-Gram studio. Disney originally wanted to name this character Mortimer Mouse, but his wife Lillian thought it was too formal. She just wanted Mickey instead. So, taking his wife's advice, Walt named him Mickey instead. So, Iwerks helped Disney revise his sketches to make the character easier to animate. Disney, who had begun to distance himself from the animation process, provided Mickey's voice until 1947. In the words of one Disney employee, Ub designed Mickey's physical appearance, but Walt gave him his soul. And that is one quote that we will never forget.
Never back down. Never give up.
And that's when Disney started to make very, very good movies. At first, it started off with a simple short, Steamboat Willie, starring Mickey Mouse as a sailor and Pete, Pegleg Pete, back then, as a captain. An angry captain who thought Mickey as a pawn who was lazy and useless. That short was so inspiring that later, Walt Disney got an award. And Walt Disney decided he wanted to do what no one else could do. Make an animated movie. Yeah, you heard me. An animated movie. And something animated for an hour and 30 or 40 something minutes. And that movie was called Snow White. And it was a success. He was given an Oscar, his very first Oscar. And after that, he went on to make even more movies, each one being greater than the last. Sadly, though, in the 1960s, Walt died of lung cancer. Apparently, he either kept smoking, or he could have been using his shrill voice too much, or it could have been both. Anyway, he died, and it saddened many employees, especially his lifelong friends. Even his brother Roy was sad, because they all worked with him before, and now their friendly boss had died. So, they did not use this as a sad moment, though. They used this as inspiration. They used this to
never back down, never give up.
Okay, I'm done with the memes now. This will be my final time, I swear. Maybe. Anyways, they use this as inspiration and made better, even better movies. Movies that Walt would have liked, that Walt would have wanted to carry on. So people continued to carry on his legacy. And, in the 90s, Disney was at its peak moment. Let me tell you about the... Not yet. What the heck? Jack, are you serious? We're not there yet. We can't improvise this. So sorry, we're not getting to the 2000s part yet. We're not gonna go to bad yet. First, we're gonna go during the Disney's Renaissance era. Like I mentioned, every movie was good, and they made it well in the box office. Let us explore that. Okay, so The Rescuers Down Under from 1990 is $47 million. Then we have Beauty and the Beast, made in 1991, with $424 million, and was the first animated film nominated for Best Picture Oscar. Then we have Aladdin for $504 million, highest grossing film of 1992 that was. And then we have, I could have sworn there is The Lion King, who was just made in 1994, with $763 million, and is the highest grossing film of 1994. Pocahontas from 1995, $346 million. Hunchback of Notre Dame, 1996, $325 million. Hercules, 1997, $253 million, based on general numbers. IMDb lists around $250 million plus. Mulan, 1998, for $304 million. And Tarzan, 1999, $448 million. The highest grossing films, though, were Aladdin with $504 million, Tarzan with $448 million, and the highest was The Lion King, which had $763 million, making it Disney's highest grossing film in the 90s, and was the highest grossing film in 1994, and was in the top 100. The one responsible for the success of the Disney Renaissance was Jeffrey Katzenberg, and he supported Walt Disney's vision to not just make more movies for more money, but to make more money for more movies, to tell kids about creative, colorful, bright, and playful stories that they might enjoy in their heads. Stories that will bring light into the dark. Stories that will bring happiness to something that is sad. The reason why he formed the Disney Renaissance was because he was getting tired of Disney. Because Disney strayed from Walt's original beliefs. Disney no longer made good original stories back then. They made bad, horrible, and bland stories. But Jeffrey was growing tired of this and wanted to bring Disney back to the top. And he succeeded. Thousands of people are watching these movies, and they're saying they're iconic, especially the villains. The villains are iconic, and for a guy who loves villains, I gotta agree, these villains are really, really intimidating. They are the best of the best. But as there are good moments, very soon bad moments will rise. A downfall would begin, and the downfall's name is Michael Eisner. Okay, now you can play.
So it begins.
Yeah, you know how we're making more money to make more movies? Yeah, forget that strategy. Our new strategy is we make more movies for more money. That's our new strategy. Everybody got that? Wait, why do we want to do that? In fact, actually, that's the reason why we got in this mess. Money. You know what? Why am I even talking to you? You're fired. Fine, but I'm actually going to make a company that respects Walt's legacy. Thank you very much. Shut up, Jeff. So here is the plan. First, we're going to completely abandon hand-drawn animation and go to CGI. Then, we're going to support demonic stuff for profit. Isn't that fun? I am so sorry for being radical. But some of this stuff is true, you know. Michael Eisner was starting to ruin Disney's legacy. I'm not saying Walt's not at all, okay? Walt's just a kind-hearted man. Sometimes makes little mistakes, but does it all to just tell some stories and make imagination, okay? Just letting you know. But seriously, like I mentioned before, some of this stuff is actually true. There were only 3 good movies left of Disney, and the only thing left of Disney that was still good were the shows. But first, let me label the movies that were good in the 2000s. There was The Emperor's New Groove, there was Lilo and Stitch, and then there was The Princess and the Frog. All three of them award-winning. They're the only three good movies left also. The shows are basically the new good movies now, but they're gonna get worse soon. I cannot explain because we're almost at the end of this video, but I will explain it in part 2, but not right now. Let me get back to what I was saying. So, in the 2000s, he believed money was the answer to everything. So I think he purposefully made all these movies bad in hoping of getting more money. And then Jeffrey did not like this at all. So he had an argument with Michael, but then Michael fired Jeffrey. At the same time, Jeffrey also quit to make Disney's future rival, DreamWorks, which wanted to carry out Disney's original idea. But Michael viewed DreamWorks as an enemy and wanted to own it, but failed. But Disney, though, before Michael took leadership, Disney had an ally, a 3D animation company, which was the very first 3D animation company that was called Pixar. They teamed up with Disney to make fabulous movies. And Jeffrey commended Pixar for their good work. Wait, what does commended mean? Oh, okay. And Pixar remained a close ally of Disney ever since. And, Disney and Pixar were great partners until... Wait, no, that'll be discussed in part 2. We'll get to more of the Disney and Pixar concept later. But for now, let's get to the final part of this video. The downfall. No, the liberation. While Michael Eisner was still ruling Disney from the shadows, evil, may I add, Roy E. Disney started a campaign called Save Disney. He wanted to bring back originality like his brother Walt wanted to have. So he started a campaign. Not so sure if he won or not, but after getting recently a lot of controversies and everyone kept complaining that the Disney movies were very bad, Michael Eisner had no choice but to resign. So they fired him and he resigned at the same time. And then Disney was saved. I'm sure it was back into making good movies and that its CEO was inspired by Disney's vision, by Walt's vision, and not by Michael's vision.
That's right, folks. Longtime owner Mr. Krabs is opening a new restaurant called the Krusty Krab 2. First of all, congratulations, Mr. Krabs.
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money.
The CEO wants the same thing Michael Eisner wanted.